Good morning, friends and families of Almond Acres. Pleasure to spend this Tuesday morning with you again. This is our Parent Shared Start episode number, whatever, Tuesday, September 23rd. And welcome aboard. A couple of logistics before I get started on today's agenda. Please share any comments or questions, and mainly the purpose of that isn't for likes and all of that business. It's to know what you want to know, what your questions are, how I might be able to serve you as your school counselor. So please chime in whenever you're able. Let me know that you're out there and that you have any comments or questions about the school. Secondly, I just want to share my enthusiasm right now. We've got some beautiful things going on here at school. Our leadership right now is just outstanding. The County Office of Education has been supporting our school in the interim between our new director coming on board in the next couple weeks. So Mr. Joe Ledoux will be starting with us very soon. But in the meantime, we have just outstanding people here helping the school to thrive. And I'm seeing it. I notice it every single day I'm here on campus. I just sense a very vibrant, new enthusiasm and joy for kids and faculty and staff here on campus. So really happy to see that. It makes my heart feel full to see our school continue to thrive. All right, so I am going to share with you the Shared Start. I just got to visit the younger kids' Shared Start to see what they were up to. So I want to give you the parent version of that. We're going to cover a few things today. We're going to cover the calendar. We'll always do that. Secondly, the kids will be more and more involved in emergency drills every month. So I want to give you a heads up on that and what the protocols are essentially in terms of being terrific. What does that look like when we're in the middle of an emergency or an emergency drill? And then next would be to look at the heart realm of our school. We are a school of heart, mind, body, and soul. So what does it mean? What does it mean to talk about heart or to live the heart part of our life? So I want to share that with you, give you a little more detail on that. And then finally, and probably most importantly, I want to spend most of our time is on the second habit of highly effective people, to begin with the end in mind. The hand signal is to begin with the end in mind. So that's the illustration that we give to kids when we want them to think about that habit. Powerful, powerful, beautiful habit. Second to being proactive. So let me get started with the slides. I'll show those to you and we'll get our conversation started. I'll do my best to keep checking the chat to see if there are any questions. All right, so here comes the calendar. Oh, here we go. Oh, we did the flag salute already. Here we go. So we're here nearing the end of September. The only big event going on here on campus this week is our school board meeting tomorrow night, Wednesday the 24th. And I encourage you to get to know our school board members. Many of them are parents here on our campus and great community members who are putting their heart and soul into helping this school to thrive. So we're nearing the end of September, believe it or not. I'm kind of grateful because I absolutely love the fall and look forward to, well, I have some hobbies like college football and working in my wood shop, but having fall start is always makes me smile. There we are. There's our calendar, short and sweet. Next, let's look at this emergency drill conversation. Emergency situations. So the target today, we're going to talk about being terrific during emergency situations. So emergency situations and the ones we practice for include fire, earthquake, shelter in place, or an intruder. So how do we do that? How do we act in a way that is terrific? Well, number one, the first thing that kids are directed to do is to be calm. You see, under respect, to stay quiet, be calm, and immediately look toward the teacher, look toward the adult that is guiding you in this situation. They will give you directions. They are trained. They know what to do next. And in my years being here at Almond Acres, I've always been impressed at how well students follow those guidelines and act in a way that is terrific during any emergency situation. So fire, typically Depending on where the fire is, we're going to relocate all of the kids to a safe space. We're going to walk out quietly. We're going to line up. We're going to be prepared for any emergency services coming on campus. Earthquakes, a little bit different, but similar. Number one, we're going to protect ourselves. We're going to stay calm. The teacher's going to tell the students to get under the desk and to hold on to the desk. That's an important element because if it's a bad earthquake, furniture is going to move. So we want to protect our head and hold on to that thing that's protecting our head. Once the shaking stops, then we're going to evacuate the building to a safe space and wait for emergency services. A shelter in place could be for many reasons. It could be a hazardous material situation that's in the neighborhood. It could be some kind of a dangerous situation or person that's looming, and we want to lock ourselves into the school as tightly as possible, lock all the doors, but try to maintain our routine, to try to maintain whatever we're doing. So sheltering in place isn't to completely lock down and be completely quiet, silent, and hidden, but to really just go on with our business, but protect ourselves. And then finally, the most scary or concerning one is an intruder. So if an intruder comes on campus or is outside of campus, we're going to lock this school down. We're going to put our kids in a safe space, and we're going to be prepared to act if in fact an intruder comes on campus. So we will act in accordance with what is responsible and what we're able to do to protect ourselves. So that's just a quick overview, but emergency situations, it's all about being terrific, acting in a way that your character is going to be protected and safe. All right, that's a brief. Moving on. How about heart? So as you are probably familiar, I hope, because you dress your child in red, blue, yellow, or green every day, we celebrate the kite idea that all of us are smart, heart, mind, body, and soul, the four elements of the human person. So what do those mean? What does that mean, each element of the kite? Well, you can see the kite in the screen right now is slanted toward red and green, or it's dominant in red and green. So that means that child has a predisposition. That child has an intelligence and a temperament or personality that leans toward the body and the soul. So what I'll do over the next few weeks is we'll go through these four areas a little more detail so that you have an understanding. But in essence, the heart is our interpersonal and naturalist intelligence. It's our people skill and our plant and animal skill. And our primary question, if we are a dominant heart thinker, is who? It cares about relationships. That person thrives on thinking about relationships. When they're successful or when they're happy, but also when they struggle. When there's a struggle, the person with a dominant heart intelligence or personality is going to kind of retreat to the corner of the heart and look for relationship support. So if your child's kite leans into the blue, then we want to address it that way. We want to go to their strength to stretch the struggle. Hope that makes some sense. Now, let me just flip through the rest of them, and I'll come back to the heart a little bit. Mind is linguistic and logical mathematical. It's school smarts, essentially. And the primary questions for our mind and somebody who has that personality strength is what and when. The body is kinesthetic, visual, spatial. And the questions that they prefer to ask and answer are where and how questions. And then finally, the soul, the green, intrapersonal. You like to think about what you're thinking about. It's that metacognitive, spiritual, contemplative, prayerful thinking, as well as our music preferences. And the question there is why? Why do I exist? Maybe is the biggest question. So those are the four heart, mind, body, and soul quadrants or colors and their respective intelligences and questions that are key to that personality. So again, if a situation arises and I'm looking at this particular kite, I'm going to go to the red part of their kite. I'm going to try my best to get them physical, Do something kinesthetic or visual spatial and ask questions about where and how. So I key in on those so that I can stretch the other parts of their mind. All right, and back to the heart, our relational side. This is something interestingly dominant in the teaching profession. And why? Well, because teachers like kids. They like to work with people, and they want to support someone. They're very interpersonal. They're interpersonally smart. They're also oftentimes very naturalist. They love the outdoors. They love plants and animals. It's all about relationship. So when something arises here, we're going to ask a relational question. We're going to ask the who question. So again, if your son or daughter has a dominant blue kite, focus in. This is a great transition for beginning with the end in mind. To begin with the end in mind is to go to who they are, how they think, how they are smart. And when we go to that element of that person, we're affirming them. Remember our mission statement? Grow great kids by doing 3 things. Affirm them, stretch, and celebrate. That's how we are going to get our kids out of a rut, out of a situation, or even celebrating further success. Affirm them for who they are. They are dignified, unique, wonderful people. We've got to figure out exactly how they fly, how they're unique and intelligent. So by using this kind of language, by asking who questions, by talking about relational, we're going to key into their brain, and that brain is going to activate more quickly than if I were to go to a different color, a different realm of the human person, their being, and work from my own personal temperament. If I start with mine, well, I'm not helping the other person very much. I'm only helping myself, but I'm not helping to create a relationship with that person. But that doesn't mean that we just stop there. We only work on the heart. No, because maybe they need to be stretched in the mind. Maybe they need logical mathematical help. Well, if we use the relational side of them to support their logical mathematical need, we're going to be more successful than to ignore that heart element and just try to dive into the mind. That's the lack of affirmation while we're trying to stretch. It doesn't work, or works poorly. So we want to affirm first and then go to the area of need. Hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, please ask me questions. That would be great. All right, so that's the heart realm. Now I want to switch gears and transition this idea into beginning with the end in mind. Again, it's the second habit of highly effective people. And like I said, being proactive is essential and is number 1. But secondly, once I am choosing to be proactive, I have to choose to consider, what do I want? What do I want in a situation? And this is how we can mitigate so many issues or problems that somebody might have as they're, whether it's schoolwork or relational things, heart, mind, body, and soul things. We can mitigate the negative consequences of behaviors when we go to what we want, what we expect. So let me just go through this slide in case you're just listening to this and not seeing it. So how do we begin with the end in mind in terms of heart? We talk about a favorite hero and the principles that he or she lives by. We look at that character, that person, that lifestyle that they live. Mind. Develop a personal or family mission statement that describes your values, roles, and goals. This isn't limited to family. You can have your own personal mission statement. As a matter of fact, in our middle school, the middle school students write their own personal mission statement. Mission statements represent what we value, what our roles are in life, and what our goals are in life. So it gives us a target. It gives us an image to look toward, to fight for, and to become, as opposed to not having one of those and being whatever comes your way. So mission statement idea and actually writing that is very powerful. Body, set a specific goal for a favorite skill, sport, or hobby. So use the fun things in life, the hobbies in life, the things that really can, for many people, give us great joy physically. And that doesn't mean you have to be a great athlete. It just means to find physical ways to find success and joy. And finally, the soul. List 3 to 5 activities that will help you be the type of person you want to be. So to be the best version of yourself. What 3 to 5 things might you do? I always love to ask kids, give me something you would do heart, mind, body, and soul to be the better version of yourself. And then just pick one of those things to work on today or this week. And let that grow, because when we work on one thing well, it absolutely affects so many other things in our life. So that's one way to look at that. But I want to address it a little bit more. So let me just share, because to me this is profound. This is powerful. This is really, as a parent, helping my child to begin with the end in mind. It transforms their thinking about their lives and what they do in their lives. So to think about beginning with the end in mind, for most of us, if we're seeking to live a successful and a happy life, then we're seeking truth. We're seeking what's good. We're seeking what's beautiful. We're seeking a career. We're seeking relationships. We're seeking something that is going to help us be satisfied in life, find joy in life, and find success in life. So it's good. It's true. So beginning with the end in mind, we're setting ourselves up for something that's important. Now, we aren't perfect and we're going to make mistakes. And if we focus on the mistake, we lose sight of the good. Now, the mistake is there. It needs to be addressed. It needs consequences. Absolutely. Some problem in life, it needs to be addressed. But how do you address it? I contend that we address it by looking again toward that end. What is it that you want? Focus on what you want instead of what you don't maybe have or what happened. And that will lead us to doing something that is trustworthy, respectful, responsible, fair, and caring. So focus the energy on the bigger picture and the better behavior, and that negative will dwindle, will get squelched. Because what happens when we focus on the negative? What happens when we put our energy into the negative things of life? They just breed more negativity. It just grows. It becomes toxic. It's cancerous. The same is true when we focus on those things that are powerful and productive and good. They grow. Because our human being wants what is true, good, and beautiful. We don't want the negative. But it's there. It's sometimes this cancerous element in our lives that can just chew on us and eat us up. So, quick example or application. When your child does something that is not terrific, again, it's not terrific. The goal, the end in mind, is to be terrific, to be the better version of yourself. So we ask the child, what is it that happened? And which of these 5 character traits was it not? Did I not practice? And now I'm going to practice being a better version of that character. So if I wasn't respectful, I'm going to go out and practice being respectful. I'm going to focus on the character trait in a way and in activities, in behaviors that represent the character trait. Just to punish for negative behavior isn't very successful when it comes to growing a great kid. We grow a great kid by taking that garbage that happened and using it as fertilizer and growing the better version, to focus on the character and not the behavior. So something happens. Just giving an example from my grandpa experience right now. My grandsons are battling it out, and all of a sudden, first it was fun, and next thing you know, it turns into somebody getting hurt. Right? It's all fun until somebody gets hurt, and then they're in a scuffle. They're fighting. So to stop it for sure, but then to focus with them on being fair and caring to one another. That's the behavior I expect from you. It's not about fighting so much as it is about not being fair and caring. So I'm going to redirect your behavior, and you are going to get to take care of each other. You're going to go do a chore together. You're going to go build something together. You're going to help each other with something that needs to be done. So putting them in timeout may be necessary for a short term. You put them in timeout because they're spinning and they need to settle down. They can't even understand what you might want to tell them yet because they're spinning. So that's when timeout is helpful. And by the way, timeout, 1 minute for every year of their age. Don't go beyond 20 minutes. So when you get to your older teenager, timeouts don't work so well. I'd have a 63-minute timeout. So the timeout is really just to get their brain to settle down so that they can think again and not just feel. All right? So again, let me just say this one more time. Beginning with the end in mind is to put what is good and true and beautiful in our lives, our expectations, our hopes, and our dreams out in front of us, right in front of us, so that when things come along that are negative, yes, they are, yet I'm going to redirect those negatives toward the positive. I'm going to use that experience to teach me how to get closer to my goal, to begin with that end in mind. That's some heavy stuff, I think. And I think that's a huge principle in general and in life. So I hope that feeds you well. All right, one last picture. I just want to keep sharing this picture because I think it's awesome. I just think it's really the work we're trying to do, and the building blocks to building smart and happy people. So we've talked about those 5 character traits and these 7 habits of highly effective people, and these 16 other building blocks or habits of mind that we can incorporate into our lives. This is the language of growing great children. It's all positive. It's all powerful. It's not do not do this, don't do that, won't do it's no. These are what we are to do, and the people that we want to become. This is what we want to grow. The other things are little cavities in a tooth. They're there. They hurt maybe. They're a pain. But I can get rid of them. But I want to focus on the healthy tooth, if this makes sense as a metaphor. I'm going to focus on these things. Because when I do, I'm going to brush my teeth more. I'm going to live this more. I'm going to say this more. And the more we say it, the more our brain will understand it and believe it because it's true, it's good, and it's beautiful. There you are. I hope you have a precious day today. Have a terrific day, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks for joining.